Go.
July 1st, 5 p.m. Welcome to the first meeting of the month of Miami Township Board of Trustees. Inspector's office having trouble over there. Three trustees.
Too early in the month.
Fire chief, road administrator, fiscal officer, a member of the Fifth Estate, Fourth Estate, one of those estates. Welcome everyone. Okay, let's get started.
The state is the best.
I would entertain a motion to adopt the minutes of June 17th, 2019. Is there a motion?
I would move adoption of the minutes as with correction noted. You had it.
Had a name correction, yes.
And I will second.
Moving second, any further discussion? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Thank you for the correction.
You're welcome.
Mr. Hollister,
Yes.
Mr. Meacher,
Yes.
Mr. Crockett,
Yes.
Now I entertain a motion to approve payment of bills, $52,274.30. Broken down, general fund, $6,282.49. Fire fund, $28,042.21. Cemetery, $88.28. EMS billing, $8,877.67. Road and bridge, $3,483.73. Capital project, $5,500 even. Is there a motion?
I will make that motion.
Is there a
I
second?
will second.
There's a motion is second. Is there any discussion regarding payment of those accounts? I have one
discussion.
discussion. I have a past due notice from Idleville, something or another, from printer that Denny ordered, and there does appear to be a $23.85 tax charge on it. I thought maybe we could redo that.
Sure. Yes, we'll
Because
take-
we're tax exempt.
yes, the fire department will take care of that.
Okay, the fire department will take care of that.
They know better than that too, even if
Alrighty, any other discussion regarding payment of those accounts? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Meacher,
Yes.
Mr. Crockett,
Yes.
Mr. Hollister,
Yes.
Correspondence for the period, we have a note from Sunrise Cooperative, we have a League of Women Voters monthly newsletter, we have a Rails to Trails magazine that was available at the Master Trails meeting last week. We have a issue of Cemetery and Cremation magazine for the month of June, that goes with Sunrise. We have a notice from Miller Pipeline about the work that's going on as we speak. We have a thank you letter from the president of the Arts Council for our contribution to the Wheeling Collin Memorial. We have a letter from Gina Marie Cox, Executive Director of Community Foundation, regarding a project she and I are investigating about, and we talked about the last meeting, about subsidizing to a certain extent residents of need yet to be determined outside of the municipal boundaries of Yellow Springs for swimming pool lessons, swimming lessons in the pool. There's a lot of information that has to be gathered before much work on that's going to happen. A message from, let's see, Devin Shoemaker, Green County Regional Planning, about another solar meeting that's coming up July 19th at 6:30 p.m. at the Cedar Cliff High School in Cedarville.
Is this the same group that did the last meeting?
It sounds like the same group, but it's signed by a different person and it's a different
And
location.
it's gone through regional planning, is,
Yeah, anyway,
okay.
I get the feeling it's the same group, unless it's the group on the other side of the issue.
I don't know, I doubt that, but who knows?
Some emails about the YSCDC formation group. I talk about those later on, about what's going on. Senior notes from the Senior Citizens Center. Somebody's got taped together.
Those all came in with the same envelope.
They did?
Yeah, it's the
The
Green
draft
County Public Health Special Meeting. Oh wait, no, what are you looking at?
Draft resolution for the proclamation. of
Oh, no,
emergency
that's not,
equivalence.
that's supposed to be solo.
Okay. There's a draft
That's, it wasn't stuck to the Green County Health Advisory People's pile, is that what that is? Yeah.
Well, there's also a draft resolution from Little Miami, Inc.,
Yeah.
I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, it's,
Oh, the river cleaners.
yeah.
We'll look at that under new business name. And then we have a legislative alert from Ohio Township Association mainly about the state budget, which has a continuing resolution for 2 weeks to try and hammer out the budget. We have an update from the Green County Public Health regarding their most recent public meeting. We have a citizens advisory about biosolid storage in Green County, probably the Bath Township facility.
What did they-
There was a hearing and it's already passed.
About the digester? Thursday, June 27th.
Yeah.
Well, but we received it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't-
We changed it.
I'm
The
just
question is what,
pointing out.
isn't it advisory, it was like a announcement of a meeting or something.
Oh, it's from the, it is a citizen advisory from the Ohio EPA
Mhm.
regarding the meeting that was set for the 27th. Information from Miami Valley Regional Planning regarding the release of the annual report from MVRPC, which was released recently and is available online, so we didn't get a paper copy of that. Agenda and information regarding the Regional Planning Executive Committee meeting was held last week regarding upcoming, oh no, I'm sorry, that was regarding the meeting that was held, the full board last week. More information about the conference call that we had with with MSA and WTC last Wednesday. Over quite a few things. We might talk about that later in the fire department, or fire station update, a form letter from Ricker and Eckler, a copy of some emails back and forth with Wendy French of the Burnham and Flower, the Otarma group, about a policy, a builder's risk policy that we need to get in place before the work begins. It's basically your liability type of insurance in case, one of the builders hits a gas line and boom, goes to the fire station.
That's not their liability.
No, that's not their liability, but it would be for somebody who's doing site prep or.
Somebody that we employ.
Right. So, I'm trying to put that together. The chief gave me all kinds of information, helpful information, with that policy.
Who needs to be covered and who doesn't know?
No, I got to know that there's a 50-foot away is a fire hydrant. That's the information from the.
Pretty much the extent of what I could figure out from that thing.
Well, he put the address down too, so I got that.
So I think maybe it was the first thing you read, what is the Sunrise Cooperative? There was just,
It's for gasoline and diesel fuel.
Landmark.
oh,
It's
the
the only-
landmark,
There's
okay,
Street Point
got
down
it.
at Sunrise.
That's just the name.
Sounds like a 1960s broccoli, doesn't it?
Sunrise
Sunrise.
Cooperative.
And then I have one last email from MSA about, we have what's called a page turner scheduled for tomorrow at noon.
Oh, is it new or what?
It does say 1:30 on this. I thought it was supposed to say noon. Okay, we'll double check.
Yeah, I thought it was
I had written down 1:30 2 weeks ago.
And it's going to run most of the afternoon. Lucky us.
I'll bring sandwiches.
That's a slow page turner.
There's a lot of pages.
I thought it was like,
It's not a detective novel, huh? It's more like War and Peace.
It's not a beach read.
Will this, we anticipate this to be sort of
no, it's,
the grand finale?
There's no end to this. It does say 1:30.
Check his info. I thought it was-
Say a little bit more, what,
But
where does this fit in our,
this is kind of a final.
Needs to see something.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is kind of a final review of the drawings before the bid, before the bids packages are broken out and put together for the advertising for bids. Because we're gonna have 9 different packages or 7 different packages or whatever
Okay.
it is. And we wanna make sure we're all on the same, all on board with the same design, that this part is for the plumbing, this part's for the electrical, this part is for the structure, this part's for the site preparation.
It'll be a real page turner.
It will be pages, it will be
And
many
it's
pages.
just to make sure that it's got sorted out properly.
Mhm. Because we didn't do this the first few times, this is the first time we've broken it out, and so or not MSA, but WDC went through all the drawings after they were changed from all the value engineering changes that we made. Redid the drawing, they redid the specifications, although we're only going through the drawings tomorrow, not the specifications. And redid those, and then WDC took those drawings and is in the process of marking them up to break them up for all the different packages, and that's what we're going to go over tomorrow.
Did you see the email that just came in from Christina?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and, compare it to, we have that's right, we did have, I thought I brought it out, maybe I did. We did have a very late email from WDC this afternoon, breaking down a rough cost estimate for the new firehouse with the changes that we have been working on since our last bid failure. And the estimate comes in at, interestingly enough, about $20 under $5 million.
Okay.
Don't cut it too close.
That's hit that close.
I don't know, that was impressive, but that's also including I think the previous electric system. She noted in there that was the three-phase, not the smaller.
Yeah, there were a bunch of little, or not little
Things that were-
things we needed to
so
make
it will
sure.
become cheaper?
Oh, sure.
In theory, should the electric be, I mean,
Well,
Yeah, that should save some money.
not
Yeah.
necessarily, not cheaper, it will come in on budget.
yeah,
It'll be cheaper than the one we couldn't afford, but now it will be one that we can afford.
Less expensive.
we have to let in the statute of all three of them, so.
You know what I mean?
It will still be the 5 million.
Minus $20.
Yeah.
$4,999,980.
Very close.
$80.
All right. Any further correspondence in or out for the afternoon? Hearing none, let's move to the fire department.
Alrighty, it's the last meeting of the Board of Trustees. We have had 43 EMS calls, 15 fire incidents, and I've done 4 fire safety inspections. Interestingly, the last 2 board meetings previous, we've had 43 EMS calls, so that seems to be our new
average.
standard 2-week total.
New one?
We have a new EMT, volunteer member Casey Brewer has passed his national registry exam.
Excellent.
New EMT.
Congratulations to Casey.
Is he like the youngest member? Is he? He's pretty,
Yeah, he's probably our youngest guy right now.
yeah.
Cassidy's not younger?
No, Cassie's actually older than he is.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah.
One's 15, the other's 15 and a half.
Yeah. Casey's 19 and Cassie's 21.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. That bodes well for the people we've sent to this Upper Valley Medical Center EMT class, because they all passed.
Yeah.
That was really nice. Since the last board, meeting of the Board of Trustees, I've also spent a lot of time on the phone with Otarma. Because we had, our fire engine hit the fire hydrant out front, one of the calls, so caused a lot of damage. But we got most of it taken care of. So I'm just waiting for the detailed invoice from Dave, and then so I can submit it to, Detroit Tire, so I can submit it to Solomon. I did ask about the, since we have 2 pending claims right now, I asked if maybe we should just eat one of them ourselves, so our rates won't be affected, but they said because we're in a pool, it doesn't really work like the standard insurance, so we shouldn't see any change in our rates, so. Yeah. I'll spend a lot of time with Detroit Tire. So, yeah, everything needed tires at the same time. So yeah, the engine got 2 new tires in the back, but still needs 2 more, because the opposite side were pretty crappy too. And that was a technical term from the tire place.
Pretty crappy.
Pretty crappy.
I wouldn't think you'd put that many miles on a tire that it would wear out.
I think it's more the age.
Oh, just deterioration.
Yeah. Yeah. Medicated one needed two new front tires, and and then after all this, I come the other day and Ted tells me, "Hey, come here, take a look at this." The pickup truck is sitting out there with a flat tire.
Is that right?
You're kidding me. So
Wait, so
we're replacing everything with tank treads, so we should be fine now.
This is an engine 81 and a medic 81?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, it's crazy.
I don't
And
know.
an engine 82 and a medic 82.
Wow.
So anyway,
Who picks the numbers?
it's a county numbering system.
Count,
Independence Day, you may know, is coming up, so we'll be doing our usual parade action and Chow Fest during the fireworks.
Will you remind me what Chow Fest is?
It's a secret. The public would know if I said something. It's, since we've started that 15 years ago,
Been a while.
it coincided with your election, I think, to the Board of Trustees, so.
Oh, it's more than 15.
That was a while ago.
Well, we're going 25 then.
Yeah, well, Skip Beeler was still here, so.
Yeah.
We have to be at the fireworks, we're required by law to be there, so we decided instead of just being there, we should have a cookout, so. Chow Fest name came up because we had a volunteer at the time, Skip Beeler, of course, we called it a Chow Fest, they just thought it was, so.
So this is food for the volunteers.
Food for the volunteers, they can bring their, volunteers and paid staff, and they can bring their families, and
And where is it?
up on the, right by the water towers on the hill. Oh, on Mount Gaunt at the park. And then we've got our crews there for fireworks, so. And
Have the
then,
crews ever had to do anything as far as the fireworks are concerned?
fire-wise, no. I mean, last year we had, well, it's mainly security, because there's always some yahoo
Yeah.
who decides that the 7 miles of fire line and police line tape do not cross, doesn't apply to them. I've lived here 25 years, is what one person told us last year. And it was Marty, no.
Actually, they're 40. You know what I mean?
But no, I mean, it's never dry enough that causes a problem, which is good, and we use a good, the village uses, the Odd Fellows use a really good contractor for the
No, I
shoots.
was mostly just curious. And
Yeah, no, we haven't had anything in a really, really long time. We have ambulance calls, there's always someone who calls, like right at the beginning
Oh,
of the,
someone that's shocked by the first boom.
I think someone just decides, I haven't called in 25 minutes, I might as well call now, so yeah. We completed the interviews for the 6 candidates for the sergeant position. And then the final step will be next week, which is the technical assessments. Goal is to have candidates ready to you guys for appointment by the July 15th meeting. Then, 6 members completed 20-hour rope rescue operations course this weekend. Jeremy Ray was the lead instructor. He was assisted by Nate, Joe, and Nick. And then certifies the guys to do both high and low angle rope rescues. We benefited from a partnership with the Boy Scout camp. They let us use their rappelling tower on Saturday, and let us use a climbing area on Sunday for the class. So worked out pretty well. We looked at bringing an outside instructor, but it was cheapest price was $2,200 for 20 hours. So we paid out, I think, $45 in lunch meat and bread, and whatever the hourly rates were for Joe and me.
Which is less than 110.
So a lot less than what, what the outside contractor wanted, so. And that is Yeah, that's it.
Any questions for the chief?
Don't have any.
I have one, I didn't bring it with me, but, we got a bill from Eamon's, the, medic, I guess, 81, air conditioner, went belly up.
Basically an entirely brand new air conditioner at this point.
Yes, but one of the bills, it was for other things, oil changes, this, that, and the other thing, but it was also to, what do you call it, to check out the air conditioner not working. And it said that it was blowing hot air through the vents. And blowing hot air through the vents cost us $495. It just seems to be a little pricey to put your head in the door and go, this AC ain't working, folks.
They repaired something the first time. I can't remember which one, it was an electrical issue. I think it was like $400 something. So the guys took it back and it was fine, and then after 2 days, it was blowing hot air again. They took it back, and that's when it turned out to be the compressor. So we had 2 bills of cool air conditioning.
Okay, well, the first one didn't say anything about that they did anything, that's what threw me.
Yeah, I believe, it should be all included in there, so.
It just, that's a lot. I mean, I thought about $1,800 replacement, you got a $500 2-day fix.
Yeah, pretty much, I was not very happy. And part of the problem with that ambulance, see, that's the van chassis one, so. Anytime anything goes belly up in there, we have to take the entire inside out, it's a pain in the ass. It's the one, that's why we have a pickup truck chassis, because John Finn always said, if you buy another one of those van chassis, I'll kill you. I think that's paraphrasing, but, pretty close to what he was saying about it.
So
So now,
maybe you can ask Eamon's to break out that $495.
Yeah.
There's no reason they should be able to tell you what
yeah,
you were spending that money on.
certainly.
Okay,
I think it's important that we know what we're spending money for.
all right, let's move to the new firehouse report. We had a conference call last Wednesday, went over a bunch of things. That we'd already gone over, but we were just confirming that these were things that we want to put in the final bid package. One was the large fan in the apparatus bay. There was discussion that a lot of small fans would do the trick, and the engineering people came back and said it would be more trouble than it's worth, more cost, redoing, putting in installation, girders or someplace to install these things, and then all the electrical wiring for all of them together, and this, that, and the other. So we basically decided to put a big fan, not as large as the one that was originally estimated, because that was estimated for 5 days, but there's one next size down, and I don't know if it's gone from 8 feet to 7, or 8 feet to 6, or whatever, but it's what they recommended to go next size down. And that's gonna go in the 2-bay, which is, got most of the day-to-day equipment in it, and so it should be sized plenty for that. And then we're going to put an alternate, or another one in the 3-bay side, to see how that comes out.
Plan to exhaust when the engines are running?
Nope,
Just circulator.
Just
Oh, just a circular, oh, it's just
Yeah.
like a ceiling fan,
Yeah,
so to
that's all
speak.
it is.
Oh, okay.
Basically the same size as the one at the college gym,
Oh,
which is big. So that's gonna be, again, this will all be discussed tomorrow. We had made, there was a recommendation, and I just don't understand where it came from, as an alternate to upgrade the rear doors from the solid rear doors to match the front with all the glass. And I never remember a discussion about that, and I told them that personally, if we could save money anywhere, we could put it to better use someplace else than making the back doors glass. So I said, scratch that alternate, and they said, okay.
I thought we'd already said no glass on the back door.
Well, you did, but somewhere they got the idea that we wanted an alternate of having all glass in the back. So I said, scratch that idea. Well, I noticed when the minutes from the meeting came through the other day and today's final, it's still there, but we can take care of that tomorrow also.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm working on the traveler's insurance. Oh, somebody,
Travelers
Colin,
insurance?
traveler's insurance for the builder's risk, I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's
right,
who it's
okay.
gonna, that's who's gonna underwrite it.
Okay.
And I was told that somebody changed me from the prevailing wage coordinator and appointed Margaret as the prevailing wage coordinator.
That wasn't me.
I didn't do it.
It's in the meeting notes of one of the meetings that I missed two of those because I was out of town.
Yeah.
Two of those
Dan's
weekends.
nuts on that one, because I never heard about the prevailing wage coordinator until you mentioned it to me. And said that you were going to be the prevailing wage coordinator.
Don't look at me.
No, I know, I'm not looking at you. I'm
You
looking
are.
at somebody else, because somebody else said, either Denny or Colin told them to make Margaret.
Anyway, I mentioned something to Denny, and he's like, I don't know what prevailing wage coordinator is, so.
They did not recommend that Margaret do it, because even though this is 21st century and 2019, sending a woman onto a construction job site and having her climb up to the top of the roof, and you have to,
I can climb.
What?
you have to have them prove, they have to have their wage stub, their payroll stub with them at all times, apparently, to prove that they were paid prevailing wage their last paycheck.
Can I wait till they come down off the roof?
All right, so we'll
She
wait till.
can whistle and they'll come right down.
Oh, well.
And
One
then
of
you
the
have
more
to,
ridiculous
then you have to
government
write a,
processes
you have to
ever.
write a thing, a little thing
Yeah.
up, and then you have to submit it to USDA or whoever the thing is, and you have to do this every week.
I wonder
or
why the
something.
federal government can't get anything done.
And so they said,
Ridiculous thing ever.
do you want your fire department to do it? And I said, yes, I would like my fire department to do it, but I'm not sure I got the guts to go ask my fire department to do it. So, for the time being, I got the job.
You can always make Alex do it if you want. so.
That's true, I probably could.
Well, it sounds like the point is that the task, the weekly, sampling or whatever has to be done, but it doesn't make any difference who does it,
Oh,
as
no,
long
it
as it gets done.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't make any difference who does
Yeah.
it, but
It's just
They
the
want someone
responsibility.
responsible.
There's a badge that comes with it though.
Oh, it's carrying that badge up on the roof, it's a big badge, and a stick.
And we hear through the grapevine that once building starts, we better start putting on all of our correspondence that has anything to do with Firehouse, a
Equal opportunity.
funded USDA equal opportunity prevailing wage supplier person, company, because I guess Ashley will go through those things.
We have to have a special sign too.
Oh, yeah, we do have to have a special sign, which
That's
that
a
they'll-
secret handshake.
they can provide or something.
There's a signature.
Okay, moving things right along, we also have to have since we moved the tornado shelter, we have to have a third-party consultant review the move and make sure that it complies with tornado shelter rules. So we're going back to the third-party consultant
Gravy.
and spend another $4,000 to have them look at the plans.
Could I do that? A volunteer?
Are you a certified tornado shelter consultant?
No.
And you have to be certified by the federal government. And other than that, I would have certainly put you on that list, top of the list, as a volunteer consultant.
Just because you move locations, aren't the specs all the same, sort of like,
Yeah,
Pretty much.
but,
so for next, so for $4,000, whatever.
yeah. And, let's see, there's that one, what was the other one other thing? Oh. In the past, the bids went out and the contractors paid paid MSA for a copy of the specifications, the bid documents, and a copy of the drawings. I don't know how much they were, but let's just pretend they were $75. Or no, let's pretend they were $150 for the contractor, that's what they paid. And then MSA took that money and they paid the printer and then kept the rest. Supposedly there's a tradition of marking these up. We mark everything.
Yeah.
Well, okay, they're not doing that this time around. Widener's group, WDC, is putting these bid packages out, and of course, as we know, there's 9, you gotta count them up again, not 7 or 9 bid packages that are going out, and they're all gonna have a set of drawings. So there's going to be lots of sets of drawings go out, and they're all going to cost, and specifications, they're going to cost, let's say, $150 to the contractor. Now, that $150, those checks will be made out to Miami Township, because Miami Township is the responsible, we're the one who's taking responsibility for the contractors now, instead of a general contractor, which we're not using. And so we will take that $150 and pay this drawing printer the $75, and we will pocket the $75 markup that we will make on it for our efforts.
Party.
Yeah. So we had to put in a credit application to them, which Margaret did, and then I forwarded it to them, and so I haven't heard, but I guess everything's
So
happening.
we've got to really encourage people to buy these bid packages.
Yeah.
So we can make lots of money.
Yeah, well, apparently, this bidding is not the same way that we're used to from the other 2 times. The bids will go out, there'll be 3 advertisements that bids are going to be available, bid packages are going to be available on, let's say, when the pre-bid meeting is, do you remember, January, or July 27th? Something like that.
Right, something.
Yeah. Okay, the
Late
bids
July.
are going to be, the bid packages, including the specs and the drawings, are going to be available on the 27th, even though it's been advertised for 3 weeks. The last time, the first ad would run, somebody would see it and say, oh, yeah, okay, cool, let me call them up and I'll get and then start looking at them. They don't do it that way this time. Now, nobody gets a drawing, nobody gets a spec, nobody pays the $150 until we have the pre-bid meeting on the 27th, where Chris Widener's, Jason estimates there may be upwards of 50 people come to that meeting looking for,
Because they may only be bidding on one segment, right?
yeah, there may be 3 or 4 plumbers, 3 or 4
Yeah.
electricians, 3 or 4 contractors, 3 or 4 this, that, that. So we're going to try and rent or get the Bryan Center gym available for that morning or mid-afternoon or whenever we decide. But we'll figure that out tomorrow when we want it, what time we want to do it. And then we'll set up bunches of tables and chairs and put all the bid packages and all the bid drawings out. And then these people will come and they'll say, you know, I'd like to have a set of electrical bid packages. Write us a check for the $150, I guess, and then we'll send it to them.
Wow.
We won't have.
We won't have them on
100
site.
Yeah. no,
You'll
so-
order them, because you'll
Right.
know exactly how many you need.
Right.
Oh, that's good.
Wouldn't it just be easier to download their?
Maybe there's an electronic download. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it just seems like such a weird, clunky, I mean, because I remember talking about it, I'm like.
So they would go to the printer with the electronic file, but a lot of people want a physical copy.
Right, oh, yeah, yeah.
Or they don't, in their office, they can't print it out this size. They can look at it on the screen, but that doesn't work too well on the job site. So you usually have both available.
So that was the long version of that, sorry. And until tomorrow, that's all I have. This is not a special meeting tomorrow. This has not been publicly advertised. There will be no major decisions.
votes.
Yeah, there are no votes on whether.
An information
Yeah,
exchange.
yeah. So, okay. Am I missing anything? Probably not, or probably so, but cemetery sexton open hour?
That's me. Well, you know, we had ashes last Saturday, I think it was. Last Saturday. That's all we've had, the activity. I have to meet with the lady Wednesday to purchase a natural burial place.
We did sell one last week,
I sold one,
right?
yes,
Double.
I sold a double.
The double.
And I'm gonna meet a lady Wednesday to buy them.
Mhm.
And you'll be getting a check for either 600 or 1,500 in the mail. She hasn't decided what space she wants yet. So she's gonna send a check if she wants a natural,
Mhm.
and then next month she's gonna come back to town and we're gonna meet and she's gonna pick out a space. But she wants to pay now. Okay.
So it reserves her.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's why I can hold us, just, oh no, I wanna pay now. So you'll be receiving a check either for 600 or 1,500, and then later on I'll give you the info. Who'd make the deed out to you,
Okay.
what she wanted it, so.
Well, okay.
Okay. It'll be under Glenpool. We're mowing Clifton Cemetery, weed eating's done. We should finish it tomorrow, hopefully. We'll be over here doing the scattering every Wednesday morning, while I meet the lady.
Mhm.
So that'll be all taken care of.
All right, good.
Supposedly, he's going to spray sometime.
Mhm.
He didn't give me a definite, but he said he's going to.
Heard that before.
Yeah, I have
Mhm. And Glen Forest too?
both,
Yeah.
or Glen Forest, both sides.
Yeah.
And I'll take care of the Clifton.
Mhm.
That's all I have.
I must have missed the meeting or something. In the minutes, it said Hensley's gonna put new blacktop.
No, they're just chip sealing.
Shitsy, that's what I thought they were doing.
Just chip seal, and the new road
But you
you get
said-
double. I
Yeah.
have to prep that.
The minutes say the blacktop's been removed, the old blacktop's been removed.
That's, oh, that's what I thought of it.
Okay, we'll have to
I
revise
don't know,
this.
was
No, I just have to prep the new road, like with the weeds.
Mhm.
and
we
that's
cleared
what we-
blacktop
When you
and
say,
put gravel
you say
down?
I
minutes,
have to
you're
clean
talking
them.
about.
That's in Glen
cemetery
Forest.
board minute.
No,
Oh, that's
our
that's
last.
the curve.
That was meant for a Glen
curve.
Forest cemetery.
That's the curve.
We
that I want.
cleared the blacktop and put more gravel down.
Okay,
I put the wrong cemetery in that. Minutes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what, yeah, I applied, yeah. My bad.
all right, easy enough, easy enough.
Yeah, no wonder why you're confused. I like keeping this.
Okay, any other
Okay.
cemetery? Anything for the cemetery? Oh, we never talked about the road. I got it back.
Is this intermission?
No, it's not intermission, this is cemetery talk. Okay,
Cemetery talk.
we have knocked this around for a few years since we got the natural burial cemetery property put together, and then we started working on the option property behind the natural burial cemetery. And we talked about what, potentially we could do with it, and so one idea that I had, and I think we talked about this a long time ago, but I'm gonna review it, is this is the natural burial cemetery here, with the figure 8, which should go that way, but for some reason it's going that way. But I'm thinking about adding the Oak Grove addition to the natural burial cemetery. This would be the Oak Grove addition. And what it would be a line of white oak trees. There would be 9 going this way, I didn't put all the circles in, 9 going this way of 5 rows. And there would be a spot on the ground, 80 feet apart, for all 40 trees. And the 80 feet represent the canopy of a fully grown white oak tree. And white oak trees will grow for 200+ years if given enough
If it
space.
gets established in the
Yeah, they get established.
And the deer
Okay, so the idea is that we would sell every tree, or hopefully sell every tree, we'd offer every tree, 40 trees, and with the natural burial underneath the X, and then a white oak sapling put on top of the
Oh,
burial spot with a plaque on every one of them, and only a plaque. There'd be no tombstone or anything, because over the 200 years, that tree's gonna grow, and any stone that was there would be, eaten up or whatever. But a plaque that would say something to the effect of, this magnificent white oak tree grew with the nutrients of the earthly remains of John Doe, buried September 15th, 2019. Okay, people have asked about having a tribute tree. You know, they wanted to put them on the natural burial, and of course they couldn't because it was prairie grass and blah, blah, blah. And some people were disappointed, and some people weren't. But I thought this was an interesting way to provide that. Now, you say to yourself, this is, how big is this, 5 acres or so? We're only talking about 40 trees. So, that doesn't take very long, and now you've wasted a whole 5 acres. But wait a minute. You have 80 feet between the trees. And so you could, we have to move this around a little bit, but the road that comes in here, the road could come in between, between 2 trees, and then you could put a road in between the 2 trees this way, this way, this way, and then have burial sites available on either side of the little road. This is a big road, it should be a little road. Either side of the little road, and these would be traditional size burial sites, not the larger 10 by 20s that we use for natural burial. And then people could be buried and have, this would be grass, it would be mowed just like the Glen Forest up here. It would be grass, it would be mowed. People could put a full-size tombstone, just sort of regular, sort of a hybrid, but it would be natural burial. It would be the similar requirements of everything being biodegradable, etc. It's the same thing we do now, no vaults.
What's the size of the grave gonna be?
4 by 8.
Is that enough? I mean, do they have to be so far apart?
No.
They can be right that close.
Yeah, sure. Anyone there?
Why don't you make them 4 by 10 to allow for the headstone? Well,
You don't want the
Well, you
headstone
don't wanna put
over
it-
where things
yeah.
are gonna settle.
you don't wanna put a headstone on top of it.
They're not gonna know.
That would leave 2 feet.
No, they're not. Oh, but we will.
Well,
Okay, well, yeah, I don't know, you guys
I
are,
mean,
It
that's
seems to work all
disturbing.
right for traditional graves. I don't know what the difference is.
Traditional graves are 10 or 12 feet long. 14 in Clifton.
They are. I thought they were 7 foot.
No,
7.
grave space itself is 8 feet long.
Okay,
The
so we'll
whole-
make them 10 feet long, whatever, that's
Okay.
fine, that's details. But these would not be sold until every grave site is sold in the natural burial that we have now. Because, I'm sorry, we could start, once the ground is prepped and the little pads are put in, et cetera, we could start selling trees anytime. People could buy a tree. But would not be able to buy a grave site in this section until until this one is full. Obviously, because these are larger, they're gonna cost more than these are, and you would then start selling these, faster than you start selling these. So this is a plan for, of course, long into the future.
And they don't want the urns that the tree grows out of.
No, this is gonna be provided by us. We will provide the white oak sapling, and we
Okay.
will plant it, and we'll take care of it, and we'll put the netting around it so the deer doesn't come and eat it,
which they will do.
which they will do. But, they grow somewhere. Yes, sir.
What about the spread of oak wilt?
But the spread of oak wilt.
There's fear of our
And
losing
new
oak
disease.
trees the way we've lost ash trees and chestnuts.
Hmm.
Working on this.
So
pine
I'm
and
wondering
cedar.
We'll give each one a shot of oak wilt
Is it?
vaccination.
The
And
lines
that may be
killing
feasible.
cedars,
What
pine.
would there be a reason
No,
not
I
to
have seen
have
pine, I've seen
a
some pine trees.
variation of species, not just oaks, but
In my mind, I like the idea of it being oak grove. I like the idea of them being all the same, so it would represent, something, represent the lifetime of the individual who's there and the lifetime of the tree above it. And oaks, of course, are one of the longest growing trees there are.
I love that, except we
Oak
have
grove.
this history of entire species being knocked out.
Putting all your eggs in
Uh,
one basket.
Well, we would investigate this highly to see whether this is a feasible plan. Because if they can't live for a couple of 100 years, they're not good in my book. I want a long tradition of the burial of, people.
It's a combination, I mean, hickory
I think-
trees live that long, but they're not as decorative.
There are fungicides that are used to prevent
Yeah.
oak wilt.
In which case.
And in
we'll
200
be-
years?
We'll have to be on it.
And in 200 years, the aliens will come down and they'll probably,
They're already
Holiday.
here.
No, the
Aliens
I
are-
like the concept.
The harder part of this is nurturing those trees until they can live on their own.
yeah.
That's a big commitment.
Well, there won't be, there'll be just a couple here and a couple
Isn't
there
it
for a while.
mainly protecting them from the deer?
I mean,
Yeah, pretty
and,
much.
I mean, you have to very carefully keep other things from growing around them. You can't go and burn the prairie anymore, now that you've got trees.
Well, it's gonna be mowed, it's gonna be.
Because you're gonna have to mow,
It's gonna
yeah,
be maintained.
Yeah, this is gonna be mowed.
it's gonna be a whole big lawn,
Mhm. Yeah.
so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, do the other, and I guess you say it's gonna be open, there's not gonna be any shade of any other sort.
Right.
Okay, because that's the other competition, I mean, they'll all grow crooked if there's trees on the
Yeah,
adjacent
yeah.
property.
I have to look, but
Yeah,
What
that's
about-
just, I mean, my
I don't
experience
think
is
there's
trying to
anything-
grow.
What about the
Oaks.
aspens? Leave
the
those?
birches,
The birches?
they probably,
you
they'll,
think,
they'll stay there until
Until the time.
the oaks get large enough that there would be any interference, and then they'd be taken out.
So is this an action item?
This is a for thinking item at the moment. We have plans of having the ground leveled.
You mean-
Right? When I get time.
No,
You mean take out all the existing
Yeah.
vegetation, when you say leveled, or you mean grading earth?
yeah, grading earth.
Yeah, you just flatten it off, maybe.
It's got some little bumps in it now.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's an idea.
I would recommend just drawing it all up to scale, so that you really, how wide these roads and grave sites and
Oh, we'll have to have
trees
stuff
and
like
all of
that.
that.
I have to get my surveyor's license first. As soon as
Well, I
I
can
get
help with that if you want.
You'll lose your willow tree. won't
that, yeah.
Well, the willow
That's
won't
okay.
last forever.
Right.
Anyway.
you? Right.
You're gonna be busy painting shovels, as I recall.
When the shovels show up, I guess. Yes, that was another volunteer item. That's less imminent than this. No, that's not, I hope not.
This is not to scale either. Now, I'm going back to the firehouse real quick. And this is an idea that I had, during our last conference call. If you all remember that we moved the sleeping area from down here in the building to up here in the building, but proportionally, it didn't change 100% swap. What was in the past, there was an electrical room and a water room here, which are now over here, and then there was a fitness room here, give or take, and then there was the sleeping quarters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, now with the new plan, the sleeping room's up here, and there's a department office down here, but the fitness room is now like this big. And then there's turnout gear, there's a corridor, there's turnout gear, and then there's the water. Oh, and then there's the sleeping rooms. And as I say, it's not to scale, except for the fitness room is substantially larger, and I don't have the square feet, and I'm hopefully to get it tomorrow. The old fitness room was it 350 square feet?
The old one was 4 something,
Four
and
something.
this new one is 602, which is just about the same size as the current one
So
we
where did the 200 feet come from?
have. Moving it around, I mean, there was,
A lot of hallway or something?
no, and they had it small, and then we pointed out that it was too small, and then they combined the water and electric rooms.
Oh, they were
Increased
too
it,
generous.
and then when they flipped everything, it ended up somehow.
Yeah, that's magic, but
Anyway, I had this crazy idea that since it's a little bit bigger than we need it to be for a permanent, for a permanent fire station, where you have 5 people in the station at any one time, fitness rooms are only generally spec'd out for 2 to 3 people to be using them. We'll have to talk tomorrow about what the normal fire station is designed, what fitness room is designed for, and we can adjust accordingly, but there's a door, there's a corridor here, and there's a door in the fitness room there. There's another piece on here.
That's the door down here, that's the IT room,
Yeah.
and then one that goes,
Mark and I can't see most of what you're doing.
X marks the door, and there's another door somewhere. So anyway, I was thinking that, and this is the day room over here, and I was thinking about putting a door over here from the day room, and then just knocking off a few feet of space there, maybe, I don't know, maybe 8, I don't know what it would be, but to have, what did I call it? A game room for the employees, where they could, it would be a separate space, where they could have a big monitoring,
An
monitor.
anti-fitness room.
Yeah, anti-fitness room. Monitor here, some chairs, maybe a little sofa or something, and they could go in and they could, work off a little steam, play the visual reality stuff that they like to do, drive a virtual reality fire truck to the fire, run the hose some.
That's how you relax after a run, right?
Yeah, and it would be, I'm sure it would be beneficial for, for training and things like that. And then we move the door, to the day room, so they could go in from the day room instead of having to walk all the way around to the bottom. Anyway, oh, Alex wants a study?
well, we had actually talked about that early on in the process, was having a study room, 'cause a lot of fire stations have an area where the guys can go, it's a quiet area.
Oh, when you're having
Where-
classes and they can.
Well, even when they're, because we always have people in EMT class or in paramedic class,
Here,
a
study.
place where they can study, and it's stuff to do in the day room, where people are watching TV and cooking and all that kind of stuff. So what we thought is getting rid of those walls and a door, so we save the door.
And hold the door.
And you put a couple couches in there and it becomes a study room, or study nook. Because then it's open on one side.
Do people now study on the couch?
Oh yeah, they study in here and they study, there's always someone doing something.
Wherever they can sit.
So that's just an idea. And it gets rid of the door and a wall, actually 2 walls. And we know that walls are expensive apparently.
So it's in the locker room?
Well, it removes part of that hallway, oh wait, I've got 6 masks in front of me. We'd have to figure out what to do with those lockers, but I thought we were going to, not full-size lockers, that they were because these are the lockers for the guys, not the turnout gear stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right, that's
So
down
personal,
Yeah, just, your place to lock up your, whatever.
your study materials.
Yeah, well, you're toiletries bag and that kind of stuff too, that type of thing. So it gets rid of a door and some walls, we have to figure out where those lockers could go, but that's why we pay the architects in theory.
Okay, maybe we can talk about that a
So,
little bit.
yeah, see what Dano has to say, not you. Oh, you can have something to say too.
I got it.
Not planning to do any studying in the new building?
Oh.
But I will be, I guess.
Maybe you'd have to, check with the staff and see if they'd rather study or play VR. Okay, that's all I have. Long-winded enough. That's enough, right? Anything else for a new firehouse? Oh, that's right. We
Yeah.
did new firehouse.
We already
Anything
did
else?
that one.
Anything else for cemetery? All right, how about road? Road?
Road, well, maybe next week we'll be able to do some wedging, any luck.
You heard of the chip seals happening?
It's gonna be, well, they first said the end of June, but it's gonna be probably August, first August. They're held up.
End of June is kind
But
of
no,
behind us.
the weather's held up.
Yeah.
But we'll be ready for it.
So how much time do we usually like between a wedge and a,
Well, they like to have a couple of months, but if I can get about 3 weeks or a month,
yeah.
it'll stick to it. Put it down fresh and they come in next week, that's the issue. Get some dry weather, it helps set the top off, cure it off a little bit. We'll roll it down hard, it'll be fun. But that's the plan,
You getting some roads done, trimmed?
a little bit. Won't be wrong. And, truck will be ready for the parade, assuming you want to use the truck for the parade.
Freighters, do we want to use?
Somebody's got a convertible Cadillac.
It's got, over the back.
I don't know. It's really hot in that steel bed.
Do you have a preference?
No, I don't.
Mark? Okay. On the parade. Are you gonna be in the parade column?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. The highlight of my year. We got left behind in the Pride Parade, so,
Left behind. You had to
They left early.
blocking intersections or something.
they left early. It was really strange.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Very Yellowstones.
Early.
Yeah, we're sitting there like,
Late.
we were supposed to bring up the rear of the parade.
Yeah.
All these people are waiting to jump in because whatever. And I called Chief Carlson and I'm like, hey, where are you? What's going on? He's like, apparently I'm leading the parade. I'm like, it started? He's like, yeah, we're turning on a quarry now. And the crowd was like, what? So yeah,
Well, the parade had a big gap in the middle of it too, which made it was confusing.
yeah, it was interesting. So this time it's for real. But yeah, well,
This is strange.
Um,
At least we're familiar with this one.
You know, I'm never close enough to the, to your equipment to see what you guys are doing. Do you ever take the brush truck and spray the crowd?
we have in the past.
Can you get the velocity down low enough?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was controversial one year because, let's see. Well, people just don't like to have fun. One guy thought
The swim
his,
team used to do a pretty good
yeah,
job.
one guy said his phone got soaked and then we were spraying dirty, disgusting water and I was like, oh, this what's coming out of your water system. So what we did last year or 2 years ago is we flushed the tank out. We filled it from the hydrant at the water tower, so it's the cleanest
Clean
Yellow
water.
Springs water you could ever have. And then I don't think we had enough people to actually take the brush truck last year. But this year it's gonna be really hot, so I think we'll do it again. So,
Okay,
it's fun, the kids love it.
yeah.
They're all like, ooh.
Yeah,
So
it's great.
maybe we'll just put out a public notice,
How about,
please don't.
how about, don't spray on Herman Street, on the south side of Herman Street, as you go.
You
I
don't like
can
round
get
chairs.
all the residents,
Yeah,
Yeah.
see them all knocked back.
It's also,
flop them over.
we have to appropriately select the right person to do the spraying
Right.
too, so they're not, they're not
Don't get
target
carried
shooting
away.
there. You know? 'Cause yeah, you can get a little. Well, that was also a comment that came up that it was
You know, the more
triggering for
Oh.
people who may have had to live through some civil rights era things
Wow.
with firemen and hoses. And,
Mhm.
you know, it might be, but.
Leave the German shepherds at home. would you?
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in trigger warnings. and all that
maybe
kind of stuff.
parades trigger things too. Why do you-
The whole world is a trigger, basically,
Yeah.
for somebody, so, yeah, hopefully we can do that, but we'll see.
No, you spray more in an arc.
Right, yeah, and you put on a wider fog pattern, so.
Yeah.
Kids like it.
Well, I'm sure they do.
Think of the children.
And the kids that have the parades for the kids. It's no
We can
choice
play
about
this
it.
video.
Anything else for the road?
I don't have anything.
Anything else for the road, from the road, to the road?
I like one for the road.
How about the fist bumps?
I have a resolution amending permit
Don't you
appropriation.
Already?
Well, we ripped, the fire department's ripped.
We made it halfway through the year.
Repairs and maintenance,
Oh,
okay?
I see.
We had to appropriate a bunch of money and we're
This
spent it all,
is
and
for
we're halfway through the
evens.
year.
The
We
even
should be getting some money
resolution.
back too from insurance, so,
Okay, well,
Hopefully.
still,
yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah,
I
that's
just went
something.
ahead and beefed up that line item again, which is Resolution 2019-22, amendment of permanent appropriations. Whereas it is an ongoing process to accurately appropriate funds according to the needs of the township. Now therefore the trustees authorize amendment to the following permanent appropriations, which is in fire fund, repairs and maintenance. I increased it by $10,000. We don't have to spend it all, but at the rate things have been going, there you go. Anybody?
What's
I
that? I'm
move
sorry.
adoption of
2019-22,
this resolution.
thank you.
29-22. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion regarding that resolution? Hearing none, may we vote, please?
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
I don't have anything else really. waiting to hear back from, the state auditor's office to get audited, because I'm gonna be audited every year now. Well, because I have to, so anyway, other than that.
Oh, right, for the.
I wanted clarification.
Oh, because of the building?
Oh, right,
Yeah.
yes, Don.
On contingencies
Mhm.
in the miscellaneous capital projects.
The only thing I can say is that in the computer system, when you set up a new fund, it gives you all kinds of options of, you know, line, different, you can see all the other funds, we have the different expenditure lines, right? It could be, you know, all different kinds of things, but in the capital fund and in the computer, the only option I had to use as an expenditure line item was contingencies. It didn't say, there wasn't one that says paying back the loan, you know, or there wasn't anything like that. It just, I mean, I can show you what's available on the computer, but that's the only thing there was available that I could find.
The labelable line.
But we don't.
Yeah, to label that.
But this is kind of an open-ended line item, it's not a specific expenditure.
It is everything that it is directly related to any monies we spend on building the new fire station. With the loan money, USDA loan money, that's the only thing, you know, that's the only revenue that capital fund receives besides money from the property tax, you know, levy to
Well,
repay the loan.
That's enough of an answer for me.
Okay.
I just,
Yeah,
I
it's,
felt reluctant to sign a regular blanket certificate for,
no, I
you
understand.
know, a handful of things, and here it's one category. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, sure. Do you want to talk about the firehouse some more?
Want to?
Have any good ideas?
Yeah, but I guess being the fiscal officer, I did go on this canoe trip with the former Governor Taft's wife, and that's where this resolution has bubbled up to the surface, which I thought was pretty nice actually. You guys, but we can do that in new business. Okay.
You wanna see the rest of your time to the zoning inspector?
No, I'm done.
Okay. Zoning inspector?
The day-to-day has been fairly quiet. Two things perhaps of significance to report to you. One is there was a court case in Montgomery County concerning agritourism. And
It's been going on for a
there's two things about, one, it was basically, this was in, I think this was actually in Miami Township in Montgomery
Yeah.
County. I guess the zoning inspector had said to the property owner, you're not doing what you said you were doing, and he disagreed, so it went to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and they agreed with their zoning inspector, so he went to court with it, and the court said the Board of Zoning Appeals did everything that they were supposed to do the way they were supposed to do it. And that's what it boiled down to. So he didn't actually rule on whether their proposed wedding barn or whatever it was an agritourism legitimate activity, but the process that the zoning regulations had gone through was legitimate. Anyway, it's one of the first times that something related to agritourism has actually gone through a court and been completed. So that was of note, and has been distributed around Greene County, although what happens in Montgomery County, it isn't like it's case law and it affects us. At that level, if the same thing happened and our judge ruled a different way, our judge could rule it. That's going on. The other is the zoning commission at their June meeting decided that they were going to review their thinking about plan unit development and put together at their next meeting a presentation to bring to you all. So that's in the works. But they, after some discussion, still didn't feel that a PUD was appropriate that chapter for Miami Township. And so I think they want to present their reasons why they think it's inappropriate, and then, you know, start a discussion, because they can't figure out what would be appropriate, you know, in terms of trying to rewrite the chapter or, you know, make it better, than it currently is. So anyway, that's happening.
If you get a definite time or date, I guess, when that's happening, let me
Yeah,
know.
well, yeah, I'll
ahead
let
of
you
time.
all know when they're planning to come to
Yeah,
a meeting.
because I'm gonna have Devin Shoemaker come and, you know, throw in his 2 cents worth.
Yeah, as I say, they are trying to share their thinking with you, and obviously, we see Don attended a meeting and gave his 2 cents on the matter, but, you know, they're reacting to what we have and looking at the work we've done in the past, our comprehensive plan or whatever, and saying, well, these don't mesh. And so what would mesh is an interesting concept. If somebody comes up with something, I mean, they've looked at other people's PUDs and they're not that different from ours. So,
Well, Devin's a
that's
smart
where that
fellow.
stands.
You might be able to
Yeah,
provide
he-
some insight.
Yeah, and that's, so vis-a-vis that, but they're the third Tuesday of the month, which means you know, the earliest they could come back to you would be at the beginning of August meeting, but I'll know at that meeting what their plans are.
Okay, well, that'd be great.
Or I can say to them, well, the trustees want some warning and some planning, so maybe they would plan to the second meeting in August. We'll see what all the other schedules are for the farmers and everybody else.
All right, anything else? Okay, anything else for the zoning inspector? No? All right, let's move to new business, and apparently our one item of new business is a potential resolution. Did somebody write Miami Township on this?
Yes, I did.
Difficult for me to scan this.
I've got a copy of it.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool.
I'm sorry, I
That's all
thought I was gonna make it easier for you to read it.
Okay, I'll go over here. I have a draft resolution which would be 1923, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Resolution.
Yeah.
Resolution administrator.
And it reads, whereas on February 28, 1968, Ohio became a pioneer in the conservation movement with the passage of the Ohio Scenic Rivers Act, the first Scenic Rivers Act in the nation, which created a program to preserve and protect rivers throughout the state of Ohio. And whereas Ohio has approximately 60,000 miles of rivers and streams, with parts of 15 of them designated as being wild, scenic, or recreational rivers. And whereas the Little Miami River was the first river in Ohio to gain the status as a state and national scenic river, and the only one whose entire 107
Yes, that's all I was doing.
miles is declared a scenic river. And whereas Miami Township is situated near the Little Miami River and is vital to the health of the river. And whereas
Near it, it's in it.
whereas the Little Miami River and its tributaries provide tourist, recreational, economic, and health benefits to the people of the region. And whereas locally, the Little Miami Watershed Network, the Little Miami River Cleaners, are we other local groups or Miami Township?
And Miami Township.
And Miami Township are dedicated to the restoration and protection of the river and streams and wetlands in the Little Miami River's watershed. And whereas the 50th anniversary of Little Miami River obtaining Ohio Scenic River status, provides an opportunity to reflect on the progress that's been made to protect the state's longest designated river, and a chance to reaffirm Miami Township's commitment to the preservation and protection of Ohio natural resources. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Miami Township recognizes the 50th anniversary of the Little Miami River obtaining Ohio Scenic River designation, and encourages all in, I guess that's another Miami Township, there we go, to enjoy, experience, preserve, and protect the Little Miami State and National River. Whew. Is there a motion to adopt draft resolution 2019-23?
I would make that motion.
Mr.
I'll
Crocker
second
moves, and Mr. Hollister seconds. Is there any further discussion regarding that draft resolution adoption? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Crockett? Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Do you think that we should specify that we are the Miami Township in Greene County?
Most probably.
Well, the Miami Township that has the little Miami River in it.
Well, but I mean, you know, there
But
is a
does it go
Montgomery
to-
County,
does it
Miami
go to
Township, and that's
Cincinnati?
Miami Township.
Well, there's 5 Miami
There's
Townships.
I know,
12
so I
Miami
mean,
Townships.
maybe if we can write real, I've got, like I said, I got another copy, we write small in there
Yeah, I think.
I'm gonna scan it into Word and then just,
and fix it.
yeah.
Yeah, the gist of that is we're recognizing the 50th anniversary
Right.
of the declaration.
It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter.
All the rest of that doesn't make much difference.
And of course, this was
So
last
you're
year.
proud of that.
The 50th anniversary was last year.
Oh, it's always, that's right.
Yeah.
So why are we recognizing it
Because
now?
we're just not getting around to it.
Just get around.
Is there any further new business this evening,
I don't have any.
gentlemen? Any old
There was
business this
some-
evening?
I thought you said there was some other piece of new business when you were going through correspondence. Was that it? That was it?
That was
And
it.
Margaret had the same thing. Okay.
No new business, no further new business, no. New old business.
Yeah.
Our next meeting will be July 15th, 2019. Hope everyone enjoys the fireworks. Hope that everyone is safe. On Thursday, is it Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday is the 4th.
It's safe.
Yes.
The rain date.
We do have a rain date on Friday since it makes sense to have one on the next day when it's at the end of the week.
We're not canceling unless it's a typhoon.
It does make sense.
No, but it's interesting, guys that shoot off the fireworks can do it in any weather. It's the observers that.
Richard?
Yeah, it just can't be
Yeah,
windy.
We
So,
well, I didn't want to interrupt inspectors off, but I would say we're adjourned.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.